welcome to the 100 Authors in 100 Days conversation, where we explore writers, entrepreneurs, and luminaries all making a positive impact in the world. This is a place where you get to hear the story behind the story. So I'm your host, Adriana, and today we have an incredible woman whose name is Maria Hemelers, and she is a sergeant major in the United States Army, retired. And that's a big deal. Like if you're in the Army and you're listening to this, that's a huge deal. So I want you to pay attention. She's also one of the writers for Latinas 100 project. So she has a story and essay that she's written for the book, and that's what we're going to go over today. So I want to say hello to Maria. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Adriana. I'm doing really well. Thank you for including me in this project. I think this is amazing to be able to give our a little bit of ourselves and to show how resiliency works for everyone. That's really what really caught my attention as far as when I started talking to you. It's like, okay, how this what is this resiliency thing? I deal a lot with it, and being able to share, being able to do that too is really amazing. I love this project that you're working on and
Thank
be part
you.
of it.
I know when we first connected, it was interesting because we're like, hey, we're both teaching like the same thing. I do resilience workshops, and so do you. I mean, we use different like methods and things like that, but it's similar. And what I was most impressed and what I'm really grateful is that somebody of your caliber, like I say, if you're in the Army and this rank, it's one of the highest enlisted ranks in the military, and just the fact that you're being part of this and you're willing to share your story and share who you are in this book is just like such an honor. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. um so I have the essay that you wrote right in front of me, and I want to start with the title, because your title of your essay is "Don't Give Them the Satisfaction."
Yep.
Now, yeah, at first I was like, well, that's going to be interesting. So share with me why you chose this title.
Oh, I had to think about it. That when we first got talked, and we were looking at, okay, how do I choose my story? How do I pick something? And one of the things that stayed with me was pick something that was a turning moment,
Mm.
or something that was prominent for you, is what I believe is what you said to me, and that's where it stayed with me. So I look back and everything, and I, the way I looked at my life, I'm 51 years old now, and you think so many things I've gone through, and the most common thing has that helped me go through everything is this thought in my mind is like, don't give them the satisfaction.
Mhm.
We all go through failures. We all go through different stages. We all go through different things through our lives. But what it is that keeps you going? And for me, thinking back, is like, this always been this.
Yeah.
Don't give them the satisfaction, because don't give them the satisfaction to see you fail. Don't give them the satisfaction to think any less. Just continue pushing forward, and I think that's also part of my own resiliency also that comes across.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Being able just to move forward, not doesn't matter what comes across, and just look at the things in a different way, giving it a different perspective and a different ways to achieve things.
Yes.
So that's the biggest reason why I put that as a title.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So I read, don't give them the satisfaction, and then I'm not going to read for the viewers who are watching, because I want you to buy the book and I want you to buy it from her. All the information will be below. You'll be able to get the book from her directly. But in the chapter where she's gonna share her story, she talks about how she grew up in the suburbs of La Paz, Bolivia. She, grew up with three brothers, and then, she talks a little bit about her father, who was a truck driver, and her mother, who eventually was a teacher by profession, but then eventually stayed home with the
Mhm.
family. But before I get into your essay, like I just want to tell you, Maria, that you're a really good writer.
Thank you.
I would almost say exceptional writer, because I read through this whole thing and it was like you were right on point.
Yeah.
you wove it really beautifully, and so you in the beginning you talk about that, and then you talk about at some point you just your family, when you were I believe in your teenage years, your mom and dad decided to send you to the United States so you could study here. Can you share with me how that made you feel, and what did you think about the United States when you came?
Oh my goodness. You know, it was right out of high school, and neither myself or my brothers had a choice. It's one of those things where your parents say you will go,
Yeah.
and you don't have a choice. And it didn't matter the friends, it didn't matter the life or anything that was going around you. You had to go. So when it came time for me to come here, um, it was pretty lonely.
Yeah.
It was pretty depressing as far as just being coming here to a country where there's really hardly anybody that speaks your own language.
Yeah.
Because really, it was just my brothers and my aunt and my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then, but the worst thing on top of that was that my aunt signed me up for college. I mean, I was only there for 3 weeks after I arrived there, and college was getting ready to start. So she signed me up, and I was
I read
already
that.
going to school, to college right as soon as I arrived.
And you
And
didn't know English.
my English, my English, I think it was the same level as Spanish would be for any high school kid that comes that's going through through high school here in the States. So very little basics. Sometimes, even it was my understanding was very low. But the thing is, though, and one thing I mentioned also in the books is that while I was in high school, I was pretty good in chemistry and physics and all this sciences. But so when I went to college and I started taking the algebra and the chemistry class, all that stuff that was in the board made perfect sense to me because those things don't change regardless of language, right? But I could not understand the professor.
Yeah.
I had no clue what he was saying. I mean, I could understand everything that was in the board, but I had no clue what he was saying.
Yeah. And
So
yeah, one of the things that you're sharing here, you say that you recorded
I
every
did.
lesson and then you would go home and listen to it over and over and over. And then
Oh,
you say in here that you for a while you're like, I'm not gonna speak Spanish anymore so I can learn the language. That
that's
must have been really
exactly
hard for you.
that is exactly what I did. I mean, after the first week, I was like, "This is not gonna work." And then I started taking a tape recorder, came back home, shared with my younger brother. He
Mm-hmm.
helped me out through this. And
Mm-hmm.
he will help me translate. His English was a lot better than mine. He was here already here in the States for about a year, 2 years maybe,
Mm-hmm.
before I got here. So he helped me translate those classes. And that's how I got through the whole year. I mean, the first semester. And then after that, I got accepted to West Virginia University and went on to by myself um, to college itself and started pre-med. But the thing is, though, my accent was so bad as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what I did is I completely just turned off Spanish. I
Wow.
completely just the only people I would speak Spanish to would be my mom, on the phone, or my aunt and my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Even my brothers, between my brothers and I, would just speak English, sometimes mix Spanglish.
Yeah. Do you think that you making that decision to stop speaking Spanish, do you think that you lost something that was part of you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I recognize that now
Yeah.
because even then, um, with me trying to do my workshops now in Spanish and trying to think in Spanish, or even before that, whenever I used to go to Bolivia to visit my parents and try to think to speak Spanish, it became difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it. I'm perfect. I completely understand what everyone was saying to me, but trying to speak it and then my accent would come out on the other end. So yeah, I lost some of that, and I lost also that connection that you have with your own culture too.
Yeah.
Because for so many years of college, 4 years straight of college, even I didn't even associate with Spanish speaking students that were there in college because they did
Wow.
not wanted to do that. That was my own personal choice. I
Oh,
was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And
wow.
that's how I learned English, because it was a matter of repetition. Uh, so I could understand it and be able to speak it in a way where my accent wouldn't come across to, as much.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And even joining the military, for me, that came great. It was a great tool for me,
Yep.
because in the military, it's kind of frowned upon if you're speaking in other languages whenever you're doing the work itself.
Yep. Yep.
So I was all good with that. So whenever folks would speak to me in Spanish while I was at work, it's like, man, I understand what you're saying, but right now, let's just get work done and we'll figure. Maybe later we can get together. But yeah, I made that conscious decision. At the time, like you said, I didn't realize where I was missing or what I didn't bring with me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just now trying to get that back. I think that's
Oh,
how you look at it.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really powerful. Yeah, that's really powerful. And that's really the reason why, exactly what you just said, which is for a lot of us that are Latinas and that grew up in Spanish speaking homes, and we are in this culture, depending on where you are and what state you're in. Some of us feel accepted, some of us don't,
Exactly.
and it's almost like, you know, some of us choose to keep the language, some of us don't, because in order to be accepted, everybody wants to be accepted, right? You
Exactly.
you need to deny a part of you, and I agree that as you get older, you realize it. You can have it all. You really can't have
Yeah.
it all. You can have both, but there is so many years that of not listening to the sweet sound
Yeah.
of Spanish, and then how someone says Adriana instead of Adriana,
Adrian.
but there's a huge difference. And I
Mhm.
noticed that because I was born and raised here, and then when I was young, my mom and my dad separated, and then my mom took us to Mexico, and I went to school in Mexico for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
then we came back. So
Yeah.
when I came back, I didn't know English,
Hmm.
and I had to start all over, and I had to learn to pronounce the words and then I was really like ashamed of the accent,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to have an accent. So I would probably remember practicing in the mirror to say the words. And it's so funny because now when I see the videos, I see that I have this lisp every time that I finish a sentence or a word. And this
Yeah.
lisp or this S at the end of my English words is
Hmm.
because of the last 20 years trying to assimilate.
Yeah.
So you couldn't hear a part of me, you know
Yeah.
and then that when you hear those words, like, so the world couldn't hear a part of me. I realized that at some point when I was doing my self-discovery is like, I did
Yeah.
lose something. I lost a major part of my identity. So
Yeah.
when I lived in Puerto Rico for a couple of years, and it was so difficult to go from only English and then all of a sudden out of nowhere just only Spanish, because in Puerto Rico
Hmm.
nobody's speaking English,
Nobody
everything's in
speaks
Spanish.
English. Yep.
And at that moment when I lived there, I realized that
Hmm.
our language is almost like the umbilical cord
Yes.
to the world.
Yeah.
And I just struggled. But I have a similar story to you where it's like you made a conscious choice, because in order for you to survive in the environment in which you were
Mhm.
in, you needed to learn the language and assimilate, right? So, I mean, I went off on a tangent on that one, but like I totally
But
I feel you when you say that,
mhm.
and I hear it too when you're writing about it. But at the same time, you have this complicated relationship with your father, because it was almost like you were doing all this hard work and you went into college, and
Mhm.
even though your aunt probably didn't even tell you, right? You were just like, you're
Yep.
going, and then you got into a great university,
Hmm.
and right here you say, you didn't want to give your dad the satisfaction of failing, because at the time you were also competing with your three brothers.
Yep. It's
you know
always been a competition with my brothers.
yeah, so I think that probably did that help you in the military, because that's a you know.
That actually helped me be more at ease, I think. Yeah, it kind of gave me more of an advantage as a female, because I never had this daddy's little girl, this just girl, women within the household, only girl. I never had that growing up.
Yeah.
So it's always a competition with my brothers. It was always, okay, who can do the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And in here, you also mentioned, your experience of, why you joined the army, and and again, was all, like, you didn't, because your parents helped you pay for college, from Bolivia. I know they were in
Yeah.
Bolivia. And so you joined the army because you didn't want to add like that additional stress to their finances,
Hmm.
you know.
Exactly.
And then when you were doing, like, I think you say drill, yeah, drill sergeant asked you, who's going to
Yeah.
make it to sergeant major. And then you were like, I guess intuitively you say, I was one of the ones who raised my hand.
I remember that. Don't know why. I remember that we had a change of, we were attending a change of responsibility ceremony at the time. I was still in basic training. And I clearly remember them doing, when they were doing the change of responsibility, saying Sergeant Major so and so. The way they said it, it just stuck with me. It was one of those things like, wow, I want to do that. It's like, I want to do that. I want someday for my name to be there.
Yeah.
And then when the drill sergeant asked, hey, who in here thinks they're gonna make the sergeant major, um, well, as they stay in? And I was like, I'll do it. I had no clue.
Yeah.
No clue how, level of responsibility that comes with it, how to get there or anything. And I was actually very surprised I made it.
Because in here, you're right that you had no idea, like you didn't have a concept, but you knew it, like, and you say that you were one of two, right? Because there was only two of you who
Yes.
raised your hand.
Yep.
And I was like, that's amazing that you do that. And I think that for so many women, like when you make that decision, you just
Mhm.
make the decision. And what it sounds like to me is like that moment when he asked that question,
Yeah,
you decided.
I did.
You
And
decided.
I think also that was the decision for me to stay longer within, even though in the back of my mind I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to stay here a few years. I'm just going to do the army for 3-4 years. But then all that, just as my career progressed, as I was able to change different career fields within the army itself and find the one that really helped me get through it, and kind of just spoke to me. I was a career counselor for almost 20 years. And during that time, I got to, do something that I really loved. I got to coach, train, mentor soldiers, help them accomplish their goals, help them see what they can, what their potential is.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout all those years, I really landed on something that I really was good at,
Mm-hmm.
that I really loved doing. So that also is what helped me stay in that many years.
Yeah.
I mean, 25 years. Never thought I was going to make those 25 years,
Yeah.
and especially the last 10 years, as far as as a sergeant major, it was just an amazing experience. I remember when I got picked up for sergeant major. It was so funny because I knew the list was coming out, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna make it, because the previous year I didn't make it,
Mm-hmm.
and this was my second or third look, I think, and I was like, nah, it ain't happening. I'm just gonna be able to retire. I'll be leaving the service here. It'll be time for me to retire as a master sergeant. I'm good with that. But then when the list came out, I remember very clearly I was in a staff meeting, and my phone kept going off the hook. I was like, what the heck's going on? So as soon as I got done with the staff meeting, I'm looking at my phone, and I had a whole bunch of my friends calling me. So they go, Maria, congratulations, you made the list. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't make the list. It's like, Maria, you made the list. I'm like, no, I gotta look at this. It's not that I don't trust you. I gotta look at this. And I pulled up the list, and I saw my name, and I was like, I just sat there, and I was like, wow, I made it. It was just a realization that everything that I worked for, it was finally there. It was finally there, and I was like, wow, I made it. I think it took me, I don't know, probably a week just to accept. Even my husband, I mean, during the day, during that week, I was like, I made it. And he's like, yes, you made it. You made it. Did you? How many times you gonna say that? I don't know. But
Yeah, it's
it was,
incredible. I love your story because the when I was reading it, and then what popped out to me in your story is that you said when the instructor says, "Hey, you, the drill sergeant," because in the Air Force, I'm Air Force girl, so we say things different. But when he asked that question and you rose your hand, little did you know that what 25 years later you would you would make it happen. And if you're watching this and you don't know what a sergeant major is in the Army, you all need to Google it, okay? Because it's the highest rank in the Army for enlisted. So I just like I for me, being a senior airman in the Air Force, somebody like you, like I just like whoa, like like awesome, because there's so much respect from me to you, because obviously the way that we're trained in the military is to have the utmost respect for officers, and then the highest ranking in your level, sergeant major, is a big deal. And all this wisdom and all of this, the fact that you're willing to open up and share your background and share your experience and share what you've learned. I mean, it's just a small slice of who you are and what you bring to the table. And I know that, in the future, I know that you're going to publish a lot more books, and you're going to do, all those things if you choose to. But just the fact that we have this as part of the Latinas 100 project, and that you're not just contributing to the book, but just contributing in the United States Army for as who you are as an individual. And then for me, of course, most importantly, who you are as a woman, and then who you are as a Latina woman. That's just like, so I just honor you for that. I congratulate you for that. And it's just read the book if you're out there and listening. And
definitely.
then another thing too, that because I did highlights and notes on that of things that were just popping out. You say I love the reason why I say you're a good writer is because at the end, the way that you wrap up your story is very concise and very like deep. And you don't say it in a lot of words, but you do go like deep in a lot of levels. So my hope is that you continue writing, and you continue publishing, and you continue to share, because I know for a fact that this is not just one story, that you have many more, especially even within your career in the military, right? But at the end of your essay, you say, and I'm just going to read it so people can listen. You say, 20 years later, 7 moves, one failed marriage, marrying my best friend, deploying to Kosovo and Iraq, adopting my baby girl, I finally made it. I got promoted to sergeant major. Unfortunately, my father did not make it to see me take the stage, but I never gave him the satisfaction to see me fail. I was like, that's it. That's like it. Like every essay that I've read, every story that I've read, they all have like this one moment, this one impactful thing. So when I read that, and this is how you wrap up your story,
Yeah.
that's just like, yeah, that's just really powerful. And this is not, whoever's listening out there, this is not a small deal. Like, this is not a small deal that you were one of our American heroes as a Latina woman deployed to Kosovo and Iraq. You know, you're creating your family by adopting, your little girl, and then being promoted to the highest levels in our United States military is no small feat, you know. And what can I say, girl? You are awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
so much.
so yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I really appreciate this. It's really an honor to be able to to hear you say that and to be recognized as well. Because so many times we just go through life and we look at things, especially for me, has been okay. I've done my job. That was my job, and I loved it. Every single moment, I loved it. So to have recognition is really good. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you deserve it. I mean, you deserve it. And this is not just for the for like our project, right? Like I was really fortunate that we connected, and now you're
Yeah.
part of the project. But this is more so, just as an American, just as a Latina woman, and to be able to say that I look up to somebody like you, that I can read your story and totally relate, and see how even this notion of us kind of losing a part of who we are because we must give up our language at times in order to make it in a culture that in for some people it doesn't always go as planned,
Yeah.
is a big deal. And I think those are these are stories that must be shared. These are stories that must be heard. And this is all part of the American fabric, because we belong in this quilt,
Exactly.
in this American story. And you're such a big part of it. And you're one of our heroes. And I want to make sure that everybody that's listening recognizes you, because you put in 20 years in the military, and you fought for my right to have this voice. You fought for my right to have this platform. You fought for my right to be here today, and not to be judged, because we don't live in a country where the government goes after you for making statements, or we have the right to speak, and you're part of that. And I just get emotional because
No, I get
I
emotional too.
know that there is just not enough recognition for women, like you, who I consider a hero. Okay, so okay. With that being said, and with this with our conversation, the last question that I want to ask you, and I want to give you the opportunity to do, is to um I know I've shared the story, but if today was your last day, what would you want the younger generation to know?
I would want them to know that we women as a whole, and Latina women, we are so resilient. We can overcome anything we put our minds to. Many times, we think, we're the only ones going through our problems and different things that go on. But the thing is, though, if we're able to share these things with other people, so they can learn with other women, and they themselves figure out different ways how they can overcome their own circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest reason why I wanted to do this, because it is a story of resiliency, and every single one of us that is within this book has been able to bring that. And the truth is, we can do it. uh, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what your background, what country you come from. This is a wonderful country where you're able to accomplish so many things that probably you have never even thought about it. And it does require some sacrifices, like we have had to do those sacrifices. But those are part of assimilating to this culture. These are part of being part of this culture, and having and also benefiting from the results of it. I would have never thought, had I stayed in my country, that I would have ever done this. I definitely wouldn't have done it. Had I stayed back in my country, I would have probably ended up pregnant with a whole bunch of kids. Just like it was predicted at first. um, but had I not come here and been able to do everything that I accomplished, I would have never gotten here. I would have never met so many people. I would have never been able to touch as many people as I did while I was in the service, and had so many friends as well. Yes, they may not all be Hispanic, but that's the beauty about this country. We're all Americans, and I have friends who are Black. I have friends who are Chinese, who are Hispanic, who come from every single background. Um, so that's why I love this country so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so proud to have been able to do this.
Oh my God. I love you. You're so amazing.
I love you too. You're getting me emotional here.
Yeah, I just, again, I can't say this enough. I'm so grateful to know you and that you're part of this project and that you're part of, this amazing journey that we're all taking together because it's the first year that we're doing the Latinas 100. So you're also one of the co-founders of like this movement, that we've started and we get to share it together. And I'm really grateful for that. So for all the listeners, you've heard Maria. Check out all of the links below because her bio and all of the information for you to get a hold of her if you want to buy the book from her is down below. I appreciate you. I hope to see you soon. We're going to keep connecting on Facebook, the Facebook group that we have. And then also I'll see you in the book launch, which is going to be December 19th.
Woo.
And yay. So we're hoping that everybody participating can get their copies, before then. And we are inviting everybody to show up. It's going to be a Zoom call and
awesome.
For the launch. And I'm looking forward to connecting more with you, Maria, and having a long friendship with you. Thank you so much.
Being here. Thank you, Adriana. It's been awesome.
Thank you. I will see you soon. So thank you, everybody listening. Thanks for listening to the 100 Authors, 100 Days conversation, where we explore writers, entrepreneurs, and luminaries, all making a positive impact in the world. Thank you so much. See you next time.
See you. Thank you.